Good morning everybody and welcome back to another episode of the LEGO Legend of Zelda Custom Set Showcase where 2 weeks in a row, I know right, we're taking a look at two brand new custom models today, both designed based off the newest game installment Echoes of Wisdom. Specifically, we're going to start by taking a look at a very familiar silhouette by now. For Z098 with 695 pieces, this is the Hyrule Castle Escape, and before you click off, this is a very different castle to the stuff we've done before. As you're going to see as we go through, for one, it is a much cheaper price point, coming in at only £59.99 Great British Pounds with 695 pieces as mentioned, for ages 8 and up, although you could argue that could be for 6 and up, and contains 6 figures. This is a facade castle that takes a lot of inspiration from a different kind of play set. I specifically liken it to what they did with Mario Princess Peach's castle, the newest version, which was much smaller, but also this thing has roots in Hyrule castles and stuff, like even Helm's Deep to an extent, back from 2012. And because of this, it takes a lot of inspiration, of course, from the Echoes of Wisdom castle, but also brings in some of the staples. And the whole point was to make sure that we had a castle on the market that was coming in under $140, $160, like the big Sanctum tends to, or any UCS ones, because it is a landmark. Its iconicity is debatable, but it is an important play set and an important figure location for not only dollhouse play but adventure play, as you will see as we open this up. So let's quickly read our description. Visit the center of Hyrule in the new LEGO Legend of Zelda set based off Echoes of Wisdom. Visit the king and help Impa tend to the royal flowers before taking a rest in Zelda's room, but don't get too comfortable as adventure and danger lurks around every corner. Spin the throne to reveal the rift and change the loyal subjects' heads to sway them to Null's side. Lock up the dangers inside the prison or escape through the secret tunnel using pots, plants and crates to escape past the guards using your echoes. And that kind of gives you an idea of the play loop, of course riffing off the beginning of the game where Zelda herself is imprisoned for being the perpetrator behind the rifts. But as you'll see, our figures today have alternate facial expressions that prove that they might be indeed our culprits. If we open up our box though, we have 7 numbered bags and 1 large instruction manual. I was going to split it, but then decided against it. And inside that instruction manual, we get our bag breakdown, with bag 1 starting the entranceway and giving us our disguised Zelda, no hood this time, and then also try on a floating stand. We'll talk about the figures more later. Bag 2 gives us the rest of the entranceway, although missing some turret and a Hyrulean soldier. Bag 3 and 4 together, I mean you build them in series, but bag 3 and 4 build the right hand wall and give us Minister left. And then bag 5 and 6 in a row give us the left hand side as well as impa and general right as well to finish off that portion of the build, before bag 7 gives us the king and builds that top layer, which is much thinner than it looks and really only about less than 100 pieces. So that finishes off the entire model in just 7 bags. No side builds today, just all one big item. And yeah, we're going to take a look at all the details, talk about all the play sets, and once again go into why it's so important to have done this set, even though we've done plenty of other castles, because it truly does fill a different niche. But before we do that, I mentioned we were taking a look at 2 sets today. So let me just introduce our poly bag, Z0096, with not that many pieces at all, more like 34, and that is the Smoothie Stand. This one, yeah, we should have seen coming. I mean, look at it. It's just adorable, really, isn't it? We got our business scrub and a table and all the displays to expand your Echoes play. As soon as I saw this revealed in the trailers, I knew it was perfect for a custom set. So we will come and take a look at that in a minute, but first, let's get back to that castle. So as I mentioned, this is a 3-wing castle that's designed to be flat, facade-like almost, still giving you a little bit of walkways and of course some exterior and some very thin interiors, but largely this model isn't designed to be a dollhouse, except for it's completely open and much smaller than all the other previous ones. One, I really like this smaller style because obviously, as I mentioned, it's cheaper, but still packs a little bit of punch. But also stylistically, I particularly like the shapings and the sort of more cheapified proportions. And cheapified is a word we use a lot in the custom set showcase, but specifically with this Link's Awakening remaster style, I just really like how it looks. Now, it looks a bit like the Echoes of Wisdom castle, but I'm definitely taking some creative liberties. I mean, the ground floor is pretty realistic, like I looked at the details here, but at the end of the day, they're trying to reference the Link to Past castle, and I'd say that the detail is more here in spirit. It definitely feels more like an essence of Zelda castle, which is fine by me. The 2 walls being on these clip joints allow them to come straight or then angle backwards, although this range of motion is a little bit limited. However, it's a 2-point articulation system, so you can get a couple of different shapes going here. And then the 2 walls are actually identical mirror builds of each other. They have these 3 different sections of roofing. We've got the big tower here, which is actually available in sand blue, thanks to the Friend Bistro bed and breakfast set from the summer of 2024. But we've also got this little turreted section here, like a little bit of, I don't know what, a walkway with the crenellations, and then on the far ends we actually have this sloped roof, which was inspired straight from the game using these pentagonal tiles in sand blue to show a different style of roofing here, and a couple of different windows too, from these lattices ones to of course the more traditional open slot castle windows. And in front of both we have a selection of plants, but also these big red banners which are unprinted and just hanging down from the towers. A little bit of rounding shape just to sort of round off the model, and then of course these grey pentagonal tiles as well here that just symbolize crests or extra detail as well. Color scheme is pretty simple. The masonry is spread out, and I chose normal green instead of bright green for the base this time around. The actual turret wall is largely made up of prefab pieces, but that's fine because it allows a space for our interior. And then the only difference between these 2 wings in the left and the right is of course their interiors, one, and then the vegetation that's down the bottom that we talked about earlier. The center of course comes a little bit taller and a little bit higher, because if we take a focus, we've got these 2 smaller towers here, not quite as big and therefore not textured, using just, well, the normal cone pieces, and this sort of continues up and around. And then above the door we have a nice big archway using those non-equilateral triangles for a triforce, but it's brick built above the huge castle doors which open inwards in this model. Once again we've got a selection of tiles to represent banners coming down the side, but I particularly like the step up technique over the entrance, and again it's all pretty simple stuff. That's why it's got that lower age rating, but as I mentioned, this is accessible for everybody. I'm going to stop harping on about it now. I think you guys know why this castle is different at this point. Let's show you what it really means, because if we open the doors we can progress through to the inside. We'll come back to upstairs later. So the interior is really split into 3 sections, just like the model is, and we're going to start in the central hall, because when you open up those doors you come into basically an atrium, a space for you to pose figures and maybe phase out battles, because we have got a soldier in the set, no Link admittedly, but Zelda can fight too, or to play out meetings, or just to walk around and sniff the flowers. And this is specifically inspired by one of the rooms inside the Echoes of Wisdom Castle. I stole a technique from the Botanical Gardens, which was using the new banana peel element upside down to make flowers, because they look absolutely perfect. So they're recolored here in white, which is not a color they're available in yet, to make these beautiful lilies. And I love this room. It left such an impression, and it was so different that I felt I had to include it rather than just like the normal boring statues, which admittedly is still here on either side. Not sure what these statues are actually of. They are just, I don't know, vaguely humanoid, bird-like. Maybe they're a reference to Skyward Sword. It's kind of unclear, but there are statues. They're on jumpers, so they can be removed or replaced with other things like potted plants or pots. So there's a little bit of customization down here, or they can be knocked over and damaged, or perhaps they're alive, or whatever you want, or you can post figures on them, you know. Either way, they're just filling these gaps. Perhaps there could have been something more useful, but I want it to be grand and very entranceway feeling like, which is also why all the interior arches are actually done in white. This is of course to create that more open and airy space that's also accurate to the game, like how we have the red carpet coming through and the grey floors, but it just makes things look a little more cleaner and a little more regal. I don't know, I like it, and that's actually using the prefab pieces on the side, which is no shame in it. Those pieces are really, really useful, but I love how the flowers look. They're on these really simple beds. I would love to do this if this model, if those recolors are ever done in white. I will buy this castle because I just think it's really cute. Now, there is one space that I potentially should have used and added some extra rooms, and that comes up just above it, and above these statues where we have these alcoves, and it feels like a lot of wasted space here because it's mostly for the wall and just getting that imposing castle front, but it's sort of the only space in the castle that's not particularly utilized, and I'm sure that something could have gone up here, even if it was a pot or a tulla or a spot to pose figures and stuff, so perhaps that's a little something missing. But beyond that, the central section doesn't really have much else going on, at least until we go upstairs, but I'm avoiding that as we go into the wings. Let's follow this narratively though and go to the left, which I suppose is now on the right because we're on the back, and go to the prison cells. We actually have 2 separate cells here. One is a proper prison, which actually has a sort of a hard bed in it. This is obviously very reminiscent of the beginning of the game, but the bed is actually specifically paying reference to the Deku Scrub Clink, because the beds in there are stone and you have them around later on in the game when you get in prison there as well. There's a little bone outside, which is a little bit morbid, but you know, dungeon theming's got to be here, along with a rat running along the roof. Not an enemy rat, but a rat nonetheless. That piece has been replaced now, right? We have a more modern rat. I don't know, I haven't seen a rat in a set in a good couple of years. And then of course inside the prison there's also a candle. Now that other door could be used as a cell if you wanted to lock someone up, but I've actually got some crates in here with a variety of fruits. Fruits obviously being used for our smoothie ingredients. These are things that I featured in the Southern Still World set, which you should totally check out because that's one of my favourite sets of all time. I absolutely love that model. And yeah, inside there were lots of things. So we've got our refreshing grapes and our electro apples here as well. Up above inside the big turrets, I didn't want to completely waste this space, and up here on the right we have a treasure chest and a spider. That is of course for the rupee pack, which is included in this model, which is a selection of various different rupees to give you different amounts of currency that can fit in this model. Perhaps though in the other chest, which you see there's one on the other side, or in this one you could even add the tri-rod or various different accessories, or hide a hood for Zelda to transform in. Again, these chests I don't like to tell you what's in them so much as show you what could be in them, because the option is always up to you. Perhaps even the electric apples and refreshing grapes. But if we follow this through from the canon of the game, of course, if you're going in your own adventure, you could always lock up the evil rift monster versions of the king left and right in there. However, let's assume that Zelda's been locked up there. Impa comes and frees her. Zelda sneaks over to the other side of the castle into the right wing to make an escape. And if we go down to the right wing now, you'll see this is riffing off sort of the guard post room. Now, it's not really possible to do a play loop, so this is mostly a storage thing, but everything in here is designed to be easily removable. The crates, again, have a selection of various different fruits and stuff in them. You've got some candles on the top. Of course, the crate on the right is representing the box. We've got the bush plant, which is, of course, representing the bush. Again, iconic echoes from the game. And the castle pots in the center section, I should have mentioned, were also referencing off those as well. You've got a torch, which you could obviously use to light your way through, and the idea is it's a little bit of a puzzle maze, and you'll notice that right on the very edge the wall has been left open so that if Zelda sort of sneaks her way around and jumps over the box, she can actually escape outside the castle, which is not something you can do on the prison side. It actually is sealed in, so this isn't just designed and I'm spitballing and lying here. No, it is designed to be open so that she can sneak out and through. It is a proper secret passage, even though it doesn't close up, but needs must. Was designed to be a small set. Because the path kind of curves, you could probably pose a guard in here and have her dodge it, but it's going to be very hard to recreate like these sightline puzzles because it's just not deep enough. I think if you move the bush and put a guard there, then you could like slam him into that oval shape with the bush going in front of him to hide him. I think that could potentially work as a play loop. And just above here, we have once again another battlement and another chest. We've already talked about these. And of course, there's plenty of space up here for you to pose characters looking out over Castle Town. Maybe it's the king, maybe it's the guards. And I like that there's some space here because again, it adds like a running or escape sequence along the roof and all kinds of different options. But let's move back up to the central tower. From the outside, it's very simple. We've got some big open windows and these are open, no glass in here. Mostly this is a filler floor, mostly designed for the interior because I knew I wanted something up here and to give the castle the much necessary height. As we move up to the very top though, we've got another battlement section on either side of this central tower, which uses the same big prefab element. And this really does remind me of the blue version of Peach's Castle, which I don't think is a bad thing. The newer one, I'm talking the Battle at Roy one rather than the original one, because the original one was too big, but I like that compact one a lot, and I think it definitely played an inspiration role here, although to me more so Helm's Deep inspiration, I think. Up in the very top of the tower, we have the bed level 3 echo. Of course, beds are really, really useful, but also this is supposed to be a rough play on Zelda's room, and we'll see a better one of these in a couple of weeks, so I just hold on to your worries for now. But it's got a gold ornate railing and then just some round curving, and again, it's a very simple room. I'd wanted to put a sticker of like a family photo or something on the inside of a dome, but because it's ribbed, the sticker wouldn't actually go there, so there is no space for accessories, and I didn't want anything to stick out from the head, so it really is just supposed to be a small use of tower space. The actual interior up here comes in the room just below it, which we were just talking about, and this is the throne room. You'll notice here that there's a big turntable. It was mentioned in the description as well. You can sit the king in this comfy red throne and then turn it around to reveal a rift, which is a sticker on the back of this panel piece. Now you'll notice there's some studs here because that is designed that you could put one of the guides like a left or right here and have their evil version ready behind as if they're doing a takeover in Null's form, because both left and right have alternate facial expressions which are glowing purple, just like we did with Evil Link in Suthorn Ruins, so that you can represent them being their echoed forms. Now I wanted to do this for the king, but unfortunately because the king is using a overhead mold very similar to what the Friends line did for King Triton in the Little Mermaid sets, it became something that wasn't really viable, which is unfortunate. So I wanted Evil King, but it didn't happen because my figure count is limited. But yeah, you could put the king in the throne and then suddenly he's overtaken by his evil minister and then they're evil and that they are running the place because you're spinning it around to reveal the rift. Or you just spin it to reveal the rift and it's like, oh no, the rift is growing. It's a simple play feature. It's been done 100 times before, but it's cute and it's a nice use of this space that isn't just a boring throne on the floor. I like it when we fit stuff like this in. See, now I feel of a need that I'm trying to justify the set as if it's not already great. Like, I'm happy with it, but I feel like I'm trying to justify it to be more than it is. But I'm really, really happy with this model. We'll save the figures for now. Let's just quickly take a look at the smoothie shop, which is our separate poly bag, and then we will take a look at all the figures in one big blast. So inside this poly bag, of course, the main draw is the business scrub. I definitely see people getting 2, 3, or 4 of these probably to expand their collection. But you actually get 2 side builds and a couple of useful accessories. Once again, just like the castle and the Suthorn Still World set, you're getting lots of good items here. So refreshing grapes and electro apples are back, but this time also joined by the rock one that I cannot remember the name of. I'm sure someone can tell me. And the golden egg, which to me felt like the important one to do here because it's like the best smoothie ingredient. Besides these, they sit either loose or separate, but then they can be placed on the plates on the Deku Scribs table, which is accurately recreated from the image in game. Admittedly, the items don't actually sit here, but I like the idea of it being like these fruit bowls on this table, and it's a good use of space. This table is built of 2 long plates that are sat on this semicircle thing here. We've actually got a different build for the table legs, which are actually using some snot techniques just to get a little bit of detail. There's a little flower underneath, and you've got all the Deku Scribs mixing bottles on the table as well. And again, this is accurate to the model in game rather than actually anything useful or specific to play with. Mostly it's the plates, and you could play at, maybe the plates are where you select your 2 ingredients. You put the first one on one, the second one on the other, and then he mixes it, and then your shop vendor gives you what you want. Or maybe these are just spaces where you could buy. You've got different options. On a separate 4x4 rounded plate, we actually have, again, the menu board, which should have a print on it. I don't know where it's gone. Studio renders, help. And then there's just this little like Deku Stick holder container behind it, which is just cute. It's extra thematic detail. I love these ones that just build up Hyrule and add to a whole image. But beyond that and the items, you've also got 2 empty bottles here. I think one of these should have printing as well. I don't know where the printing's gone. It's weird. Of like a rainbow shake. So like the mixed flavor come together of a couple of different ingredients so that you can pretend you're giving full bottles to someone. And then you've also got a sack for the business scrub to carry around. But let's be honest, most of the pieces and the interest in this set comes from the business scrub. So let's go take a look at our minifigures for both sets, starting off with the castle. So the first figure today is, of course, Zelda herself. We've seen a very similar version of this in the Suthorn Still World set, specifically where her mid-legs and her torso were identical. This time, of course, she's just got the cape printing around her neck, no actual cape around the back, because she's using the newer elf hairpiece that was introduced in Rivendell in 2023 in yellow. She has her build for the tri-rod, which is literally a 1x3 bar with a cone on the other end, and of course, she has some just plain white sleeves. Again, these chibi-fied characters don't tend to have as much printing, and she's got a yelling facial expression this time, which is the same as the Suthorn set. And she's of course joined by Tri, who is here on a small transparent rod to make it float. This is actually an existing part already. This is a recolor of, I believe it was the Wishing Star from Disney's Wish, and is a perfect piece for Tri. I love it so much. It's just got the normal printing on it, but it's here in bright out yellow. They just really need to use this piece for Tri and Makar. It's perfect. It's so perfect. Just put it in whatever big D2C you're working on before they retire that mold. I beg of you, Lego. It's so good. But yeah, it's just here on some transparent rods. The same as the Wishing Star build from Disney's Wish. It's perfect, and it sits next to Zelda. The other most important figure in this set is the King, who again has very simple mid-leg printing and then torso printing, plain arms again. And as I mentioned, this guy, to recreate that beard and that complicated head shape, it's not a figurehead, it is a blank minifigure head, and then this is placed over it, over the top of the beard, which is what they did with King Triton for the animated Little Mermaid back in, I think, 2019. And it was kind of creepy on a mini doll. I imagine it would be creepy here, but basically it's like a face mask over it, and he's got a fixed expression, which means his head can't turn, and you doesn't have an alternate face because it's all connected to that one mold. I don't know, it's weird, but I chose to do it anyway. But we've also got Impa here, who again, very simple, just literally some torso printing, sand blue mid legs, a 3x bar in red for her cone, and an existing hairpiece. I don't know whose hair this is, and then a simple old lady hairpiece. Her eyes are open because minifigure stylings, and no ears because it's an existing mold, and I can't make new ones for everything. So again, another really, really simple character. Really glad to have her though. I think she's a fun addition. Minister Left is up next, and she is one of the 2 that does have an alternate expression. So of course, she's designed like her game counterpart, where she's holding her book under her arm. She's got her purple coat on and some orange mid-legs. I did not print on the mid-legs because budget. It was a deliberate choice, I didn't forget. And she has plain purple arms. She's got her glasses facial expression. I couldn't do her like stern one because I needed to have neutral so that it contrasted better with what you're about to see. And then she's using an existing pigtail hair piece in blue to recreate it as best as possible. It's not perfect, but I can't do new molds for everything. It's just the way it is. But let's see that alternate face. You can see that just like with Link, the purple triangles come off the face and the eyes glow purple, and I think her lips changed color as well, which is crazy. But here she is with her evil takeover form, so that she can be an echo of herself. And the same is going to be true with General Wright, who is using one of the medium skin tones. He's got a cape. I chose, again, it's that purple color. We talked about this recently with, I believe it was Groos's Loftwing, and how that was sort of a halfway between purple and grey. This time to me, dark blue worked better. So once again, another compromise, and we did a dark blue torso with the yellow cape. We've got the medium azure trim, the brown belt, plain grey mid legs once again, dual molded arms for him because those sleeves are nice and thick, and then the medium tan hands. He's got his simple facial expression, which to be honest could probably be a reuse from another theme just to save a little bit of budget. And then his helmet is weird, so instead of giving him the guard helmet that's literally included in this set, I gave him a fireman's helmet backwards because that's what it looked like. Sue me. And of course he also has an alternate facial expression where his eyes glow evil as he becomes an echo. And then the last figure in the set is the Castle Soldier. This is the same Castle Soldier that's been in the CSS since Wave 1. It hasn't changed, and that is deliberate to keep it consistent. The only thing that changes is the face prints and the skin tones to keep your army varied. Specifically, this one is still reoccurring, so that if you're buying multiple castle sets or just Zelda sets in general, every time you get a soldier, they are part of the same militia, and it also says on prints because we can just keep one in. So it doesn't look anything like the Echoes one, but that is a deliberate choice. We then have the Smoothie Store owner, or business scrub as we more commonly know him. He is using cones for his legs, ice cream cones that go into hollow studs. He is using the same minion toed arms and then the splat gear on his head with a stud coming out the middle. Those are all normal parts. What is new is his body, which is trying to replicate the shape as best as possible. It does have a slight taper towards the top, you just can't see it because of the splat gear on the top of the head. So the bottom is wider, it does recreate that shape. And this is a 2x2 at the bottom and 2x2 at the top, but goes round to about 2.5 by 2.5 studs in the middle. If that doesn't make any sense, don't worry. It's basically like a sized up version of the Octorok head. And I think I've talked about this on streams before and in various different places, but one thing I really wanted to do with this model is keep that in system with this new part I designed. Back when we did the Octoroks, we had this 1x1 at the base and 1x1 at the top that rounds out to 1.5, 2 studs at the middle to create this sort of ovaloid shape, which was really, really useful for Octorok and the various different Octoroks that we designed. This part is in that family, meaning it continues all the same design language, but instead of a 1x1 base, it's a 2x2 base. So it's just a bigger up, scaled up version that then has Technic pinholes in the side. Basically, it's really cool and really, really nerdy, but I'm really happy that these new molds actually seem to serve a purpose in a family, and it feels like I'm filling in gaps that are not just useful for these guys, but useful all over. And of course, no evil face for this guy, but he is from the Polypack, which is great. And that's it. That's all the characters and that's all the models. Hopefully I explained well why the castle is so cool and why it's nice that we have a small one. And this actually completes our coverage of Echoes for now. Just 3 sets for the moment. I will 100%, there are at least 2 more set slots carved out for it. Like there's at least 2 more things I want to do, but I'm not in a place to do them just yet. And I want to let it sit for a while. I have a think of the ideas. I don't want to just rush them out because the game is the newest game. So those will come at some point. They're not tied to any wave, but they'll happen. But I'm really, really happy with this outing. I think all 3 of these are incredibly strong. You'll have to let me know what you think. But Southern Stillworld is an amazing set to me. I'm still really, really happy with the concept and all the builds, specifically Canon, and just the modularity of that set. So I'm really, really, really pleased with that. And I still think that's probably my top 15 that we've ever done. The Castle Escape is also something I wouldn't change. I'm really, really happy with the model. There's a couple of tweaks I think that I could make, but nothing dangerous, like nothing huge at all. Just some stickers really, I think. And I also, as far as polybags go, the business scrub was the original idea for all these Echo sets. Before literally everything else, the business scrub polybag was what came to my head. So again, I'm very happy with that, and I'm finally so happy to have a good Deku Scrub mold, because like we've got the scrub sorted now, but now to have the business scrub sorted and just in time for the Deku Scrub Palace from Majora's Mask in Wave 5. So we'll see, maybe Yellow Pillar, I don't actually know, I don't remember, that might just be scrubs, but it's been one of those factions which just has never looked good, so I'm finally really happy to have a solution for him. And I love that castle, and I just can't put my fingers on it. I just think it's it's the right decision to have multiple castles to suit different people. And obviously by the time this set releases in the canon of the CSS, the Sanctum's long retired. The castle system is winding down and over. So this is like a small refresher, which is basically the exact role that Battle on Peach's Castle with Roy served in the Mario world as well. So again, more parallels. I just love it. It's an essence of Zelda Castle. It has some nice Echoes crossover, and it's small and compact and chibi, and I love it. But Southern still awesome there. So I'm really, really happy with this Echoes collection. We will definitely be revisiting the game, as the game is a lot of fun. I want to visit some of the regions. I don't know about Conde, but I'm definitely planning on visiting the Zora in some capacity, or having a set that has Zora in it. I just haven't quite decided what's the best to take from that game that fits the values we have at the CSS and the synergy as well. There's vague descriptions in my mind, but nothing pinned down. So I'll leave it there for now. Let me know what you thought of these two below. Let me know what you thought of the whole Echoes of Wisdom sub-theme in general. Yeah, and I'll see you again soon. I love these guys. Please share these ones around. I don't ask often, but these Echo sets are underrated, and I think they are some of the better designed ones we've done. So if you agree, share them. Let people know. They're cool. And have a wonderful rest of your day.